Hello, everyone. Ross, can you hear me?
Yep, I hear you.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to assume it's the same for everyone else, and if not, feel free to raise your hand or type something into the comment box. All right, so we'll just get started. So my name is Kendra. I'm a program coordinator at Physical and Health Education Canada. I've been with the organization for about 2 years, and I come from a health promotion background and an interest in supporting children's holistic health. So I've been working on the At My Best program for about a year and a half, and I'm really excited to share what this program is all about with all of our attendees. So I'll turn it over to Ross, who is my co-presenter.
Hi, my name is Ross Campbell, and my day job is subject coordinator for physical education and health for Anglophone School District West in New Brunswick. So we essentially run the western part of the province. We have 69 schools, K-12. My other role is that I'm also the president of the New Brunswick Physical Education Society, which K is a professional organization for physical education teachers and health educators in our school districts in the province. And through that organization, I've worked with PHE Canada now for about the last 12 or 15 years on several initiatives over the years, and At My Best has been one of them that we've actually worked quite heavily on and extensively in the last little bit.
All right, thanks, Ross. So just to give you a bit of a background on Physical and Health Education Canada, we are a recognized leader and vital contributor in fostering the achievement and health among Canadian children and youth. Our focus is advocacy for and advancing the quality health and physical education opportunities in school communities across the country, and increasing awareness of the relationship between health and education and the importance of learning environments that focus on an inclusive whole child approach. Our vision is that we envision a future wherein all children and youth in Canada are living healthy and physically active lives. We work with over 10,000 members from across the country, reaching over 14,000 schools, and we have partnerships with several national and regional organizations. We strive for ongoing collaboration between various organizations from the grassroots level to the provincial level, national and international stakeholders in the development and delivery of our services and programs. So At My Best is a perfect example of that. So we wanted to start with a little activity for everyone attending the webinar, and it's a question that we'd like to put to you of what you'd like to know when it comes to the At My Best program, when it comes to the holistic health and development of children. So I'd encourage you to put in the comment box what you'd like to know, and we'll hope to address it in the webinar. If not, I'll be reading the questions throughout as we go along, since Ross and I are sharing the presenter responsibilities, and we'll hope to revisit anything that wasn't covered at the end. If we don't end up having any time to cover it, you're certainly welcome to email us, and I'll put up our contact information at the end of the webinar. Also, feel free to raise your hand at any time if you have any sort of question as we go along. So I'll give you a brief overview of what we'll be talking about today. The first part will focus on some background information of what we think that you should know. That will lead us into a program overview of what the At My Best program is all about. Then we'll get into a little bit more of what the At My Best K-3 program is all about, and exploring the At My Best website, talking about At My Best Playdays, which are a great opportunity to bring together a whole school community, and also opportunities for you to stay connected to us and the program and have your say in what future iterations of the program will look like. So I'm going to turn it over to Ross to start us off on key background information for all of you to know about.
Yeah, looking at whole child development is essentially what the foundation of At My Best is, and it's important when you're looking at any kind of health structure within educational communities. So what does it mean to support healthy development of a whole child? Well, you're looking at the whole social development of the child. You're looking at healthy students learn and are successful. So if a student is healthy, they're going to be academically healthy. And if they are academically strong, they're actually going to trend to be more healthy in the future. And you'll see that in the slide later on. Lower levels equal lower learning and impact. So, and it decreases global impact on health. At My Best is the curricular connection that goes to the comprehensive school health model. So it fits perfect when you're looking at curriculums across the country when delivering health. That's kind of what happens with it. Who's responsible for working with children, with all our children within the school system? Well, it's everybody that's involved. It's the students, it's the families, it's the schools, it's the communities. And if you look at what health promoting schools looks like within our country, you'll see that those types of setups and teams and structures within our educational communities bring in all sorts of arms from all sorts of places to help support programming and instruction and delivery of services for our students. And that's usually that's the method and where I see the most impact being happening for students, especially in the schools that we work with here. So in the next slide, maybe Kendra, you'll explain what this is, the poll.
Yes, absolutely. So again, we wanted to keep the presentation interactive with our participants. So we'd love it if you could just list the first area of health and wellness that you feel needs to be addressed to support students in your school. You can respond to that through the pollev.com/PHECanada190 link, or else you can text PHE Canada 190 to 37607 once to join the webinar, and then you'll text your answer to the same number. So we're trying this out. I haven't done this on a webinar, so hopefully it will work to our participants. If not, feel free to raise your hand or even put it in the chat box, and I can relay the answer to the group. So we'll give you a couple of minutes to think that through. We have some quiet participants. Okay, Ross.
Yeah, so we're looking at, I mean, when I first started with working with health within our schools, one of the first areas of health and wellness that I felt that our students needed to have, or where support for students needed to be in our schools, was just around the comprehensive school health model, and you're going to see slides on that in a little bit, and probably a lot of you are familiar with it. But the one initiative that we needed to work upon was being able to get to the multiple dimensions of what well is for students and for people. So we focused on looking at working with mental health type initiatives, emotional health, social health, spiritual health, and physical health. And the difference for me between the mental health and the emotional health is where mental health is one of more management. I find it's a personal management type of thing, where the emotional health for me is the resiliency piece with children and with adults even within the building, and getting around the idea that it's not just about the children, it's about the adults as well in the building. So that's sort of the places that we worked at and went to first. And it needs to be different for each person. Is the other piece that we come across, is that every person is different, but they do need to be addressed. And the way we model it within our structure here in New Brunswick and within our schools is that we're looking at the pyramid of intervention model, where if you can envision a triangle, the triangle of intervention, you have your top 5% of high risk students. So it could be high risk for unhealthy lifestyle, or for mental health, or for whatever. Then you have your middle 20% of students who are borderline, possibly going to end up circling into that 5%. And you have your 75% below, which is basically the norm of the population. So as you know, as educators across the country, we spend 95% of our time in the 5%, and then so forth all the way down, least increasing amount of time. So when we look at our health instruction and our health intervention within our school areas, we framed it as in, we are the very bottom line of that pyramid. Like, we are actually the line, that bottom line. We're not actually in that. We're the population health people that are at the bottom. We service all individuals. We don't hang our hat in the 5 or the 20 or the 75, because to us it's a collective. If you envision a brook or a stream, we're the ones that work way upstream, and everything trickles down through and hopefully reaches all the people and all the families at that point. So I see some words coming up on the screen: mental health, food, security, social, inactivity. Those are all areas where you can make a difference with health initiatives within your building, including using that My Best as sort of a foundational tool to explore some of those topics. Perfect. So if we flip to the next slide, Kendra.
Yep.
I think impacting more than just physical health, is sort of what we were just sort of getting to. And if you look at this slide, you see the whole list of different types of health, if you will. If you put health in quotation marks around it, your emotional, your physical, your financial, your intellectual, occupational, environmental, social, and spiritual. All of these elements are intertwined. As we all know, one plays an impact on the other. If we don't have financial health, it's a stress. So we have emotional disconnect, we'll have social disconnect, and maybe even environmental disconnect. And usually occupational health leads to some of those things as well. So wellness, as it's defined, is a state of complete physical, mental, spiritual, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or thing like that. So just because you're not sick physically, it doesn't mean that health isn't being addressed. And it's an active process of becoming aware of and making choices towards healthy and a fulfilling life. So wellness is more than being free of illness, like I was saying. You can see in the diagram, it shows all 8 different dimensions. In fact, it's the only effective way to make an impact on students is to support your students with your whole school community. And it can be very powerful to see that happen. We're on to the next slide, which is just it's the comprehensive school health model itself. And essentially, this is the model that I use with all my educators within my school district, and anybody who listens to me talk about comprehensive school health, is that this is the way that we end up impacting a comprehensive approach for impacting children's in lifelong learning. So what that means is we have teaching and learning, physical social environments, we have evidence, we have policy, and we have partners and communities, community partnerships and services. And these four elements, regardless of whatever kind of initiative you do, have to be addressed within that initiative. So an example would be if you looked at a nutrition initiative that you may have in your building, and you want to move markers in healthy eating and nutritional awareness and nutritional literacy, then you look at the teaching and learning piece. So what's happening within the classroom. Then you look at the social and physical environment you have. So what's being modeled, what's visual, what's in your cafeterias, or what's in your hot lunch or breakfast, or what's in the bake sales and different things like that happen at the school. Evidence. So you're looking at research. You're looking at all those things and evaluation of what it is you've done, and you compare and contrast the data. You have policy. So in New Brunswick, we have a nutrition policy, and ironically, it's called 7-Eleven, which in some jurisdictions that would make a lot of people laugh. But that's the number associated to it. And 7-Eleven is stringent in its what schools can and can't serve, and what schools can and cannot do when it comes to food service within schools. So that policy has to be taught and re-educated and re-brought into PL for teachers and things, so they're cognizant and remember and are mindful of it. And then you look at your community partnerships and services. You would bring in chef programs and different food safety things, or buy local type initiatives and things like that partnerships within our community that help come in and solidify the missing pieces that happen within the other four circle diagrams in the health model. So that's one initiative for healthy eating, and it should address those four components. And that's sort of how being effective is. So in each division, like I said, so if that was a healthy eating piece, then you would deal with it with physical activity. And look going forward too, if you're looking at want to see some evidence in this, we've had some of our schools who are comprehensive school schools, and that have taken on initiatives comprehensively and have moved markers by 28% in 1 year. This model you see here is the PHE Canada model. Basically, it's just a different way of describing the comprehensive school health model. So it's self-explanatory. I don't really need to go through it all, but it's worth taking the time looking at it, because the 5 essential principles are really the guiding principles for any comprehensive school health model that you want to have in your building. And the benefits obviously are there. And then your 4 components, which is what was in the other diagram going forward.
All right. So I'm just going to get into a little bit of the components and overview of what At My Best is all about. Like Ross said, it is certainly complementary to the comprehensive school health model and holistic child development. So that will be a major highlight that I will bring your attention to throughout the presentation. So At My Best is a free curriculum-linked program, and it's for teachers working with students in kindergarten to grade 6. It combines emotional well-being, physical activity, and healthy eating, and it's designed to support the delivery of a quality health and physical education program. It's also designed to optimize children's physical and emotional development. So the interconnectivity between those two and the holistic focus of children's health and well-being is a major focus of the At My Best program. It was developed by Physical and Health Education Canada with support from AstraZeneca Canada in response to heightening levels of chronic disease in Canada. And the objective of the program is that it inspires and motivates children and also their families to make healthier choices today and to develop lifelong healthy habits. The program uses a social ecological framework to achieve this holistic approach to health and wellness, and this is woven throughout its content. And it looks a little bit different in the K-3 program compared to the 4-5-6 program, so I will get into a little bit more detail later on. It's also a program that involves families. There's a link to home section in the At My Best K-3 program, and there's also resources for families in the Activity Center on the website, and it involves a whole school community, and that component of the program really takes shape in the At My Best Playday. So getting into the focus of the At My Best K-3 program, there's 3 areas of health and well-being that are emphasized. It starts with emotional well-being, physical activity, and healthy eating, healthy living components as well. So the emotional well-being piece is helping children to feel good about themselves, be supportive of others, develop the skills to maintain emotional wellness, and recognize the importance of this component and its importance to creating a healthy learning environment. So when children have positive relationships with their peers, when they are being supported at home, this emotional well-being piece is going to take shape in how they learn at school. The next focus is on physical activity. So the program is supporting awareness and increased opportunities for children to be more physically active at school. So that's through physical education, it's through DPA in some provinces, and also during recess, during lunch, and at home. So there's take-home activities for family and friends to do together, and like I mentioned, there's a link to home component in each of the learning experiences. Finally, there's a healthy eating component, which is taught through fun and interactive activities about what it means to eat healthy and partake in healthy living practices at home, so things like rest and good hygiene. There's also a Let's Cook section of the website that offers a series of recipes, and this component is accessible to anyone. So again, it's an opportunity to engage with families and get them connected with what children are doing in the classroom. In the K-3 program, the goal is for children to see connections between physical activity, healthy eating, and emotional well-being. It's supporting character education and the development of life skills, and it's building connections with parents and communities with a focus on healthy living. So in that way, what makes this particular program unique is that it helps children to build awareness of their self and their emotions. And the way that they do this is through an underlying theme called the emotional ABCs, which stems from the social ecological framework that I mentioned previously. So the A stands for their ability, and the focus is on their individual ability, their awareness, choices, empowerment, trying new things, and asking others for help. The B stands for belonging, which is a focus on being inclusive, involving others, recognizing their similarities, but also appreciating and celebrating their differences. And finally, the C stands for caring, with respect and consideration of self and of others. So I've put up on the screen the different components of the At My Best K-3 program, and this is what is accessible through the website. So everyone has access to the program overview, testimonials of how successful people have found the program, activities, recipe suggestions, parent information, which relates to the 3 pillars of the program, and also Playday registration and supporting resources that go along with that. If you're a registered user, it's free to sign up, and for those using the K-3 program materials, there are learning experiences, so there's 10 per grade, which have integrated activity sheets, and these are all downloadable, printable PDF documents. There's also an online storybook called On My Way, A Journey of a Star Named Ray, and Ray is the At My Best mascot. There's also curriculum link charts, which shows how these different lesson plans align to the curricular objectives in each province, a very popular resource for teachers. And there's also music, videos, and printed task cards, which you can request when you're registering, and we mail those out to schools as the orders come in. So I'm just going to take you through what a typical At My Best K-3 learning experience looks like. So it offers a purpose, what are the materials that are needed in the learning experience, and it's your responsibility to gather those materials. The only item that's distributed by PHE Canada are those printed task cards, and I'll talk a little bit more about what those look like later on. The curriculum expectations. So, for instance, what are the health and physical activity curricular objectives that are demonstrated by students in this learning experience, or how does it align to personal and social development, for instance. There's also assessment and evaluation, so things like what should you be looking for, are the students moving safely in a space, is there an awareness of space around them, as well as self-evaluation suggestions. There's also the sort of main component is the activity description. Each activity description has an introduction, a skill and concept development section, an application of that concept, and extensions for you to extend learning. There's also guided discovery questions to encourage reflection and critical thinking. And there's curriculum connections. So these are cross-curricular connections for you to see what other curricular objectives can be met. So things like math, literacy, drama, art, language, science, etc. And there's also a linked home suggestion for an opportunity to engage families in the program as well. So you'll be able to access each learning experience online when you log in, and I'll just go through the process just up on the screen. This is the page that you'll see when you're logged into the website and you're under one of the lessons. The lesson that I'm going to be taking you through is learning experience number 2, and it's called You Can Do It. You'd click on the lessons section in, the lessons tab, and you can download the lesson by clicking the little icon that I've circled on the page. And you can see I've just put up the warm-up activity outlined in that PDF downloadable document. And this is a warm-up to the ABC dance using the ABC song. You can use the music from the website, and that's found in the music tab on the URL that's put up on the screen. Otherwise, you could choose any music of your own, but we've created these sorts of resources to complement the program, and the actions of the ABC dance are outlined in the appendix. So like you see, it just says warm up with the ABC dance, which introduces simple actions that accompany the concepts of ability, belonging, and caring. Use the ABC dance song on the At My Best online music playlist. See instructions and action cues in Appendix B. So I'll just go to the next slide and show you where you can find the appendix. It's right in the same lesson number 2, You Can Do It, and it is the icon that is circled in orange. And just to give you an idea of what that appendix will look like, I've put it up on the screen, and it is You know, it starts with make an A for able. Make your arms look strong, hold them up, hold them down, strong bodies all day long. And this is something that can be sung with your students as well. So now I'm going to get into the main component of the learning experience in the K-3 program, and this is the skill concept development section. So in this case, the focus is recognizing students' ability. So this is the A part of the ABCs that I talked about previously. And this concept is reinforced through a throwing and catching activity. So students are encouraged to try different methods of throwing and catching individually, with a partner, and as a group. And we refer you to the video section of the website. Again, I put the URL up on the screen for you to take a look at, and we can watch the video together. So that video is a great resource because it reinforces those key characteristics of, in this case, the underhand throw. So key pieces of, key cues for students like eyes on the target, throwing arm draws straight back as the opposite foot steps forward. So that's something that you could use for your own professional development, or else if you have access to a projector, it could be projected depending on also your space for students to view as well. So I'll just bring up that video for everyone to watch. It's quite short. Give me a moment. And doesn't require sound, so I'll just let us watch. All right. So that sort of gave you an idea of what a typical At My Best video looks like. And you can see up on the screen, I've included a copy of what that downloadable PDF looks like. So it's asking students who can toss and catch on his or her own, who can toss and catch high, medium, low, side to side. So again, it's focused on that individual ability, and then working with other students, working with their peers. So I just wanted to highlight a few other remaining components of each lesson plan that are found in those downloadable PDFs. So the first component is that application of concept. In this case, it's repeat the ABC dance using scarves and repeating some of the favorite ways of using the scarf, or using another song on the At My Best online music playlist, or another of the children's favorite songs. There's also an extension component, as I mentioned. In this case, it's making the movement a little bit more complex, and some guided discovery questions recognizing the importance of reflection and critical thinking in order to optimize student learning. And those guided discovery questions are organized according to the emotional ABCs. Finally, I wanted to highlight those curriculum connections. So in this case, there's opportunities to meet other curricular objectives when it comes to drama, art, and language, math, and science, and this varies from learning experience to learning experience. You'll see I've now put up a slide that shows those printed task cards, and again, those are the only component that you'll receive outside of all other components that are housed on the website. They're also available for download as you wait to receive those printed copies. So they can be accessed if you click on lesson number 11 in that lesson menu. That gives you access to a download of all lesson plans for that particular grade, and also an opportunity to download all of the task cards. The task cards also, I should mention, they're integrated into various learning experiences, but they're also a great resource to use, especially if you're implementing DPA or you have just some extra time. They're great, and they're highly durable as well, so they should last you a while. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Ross to talk a little bit about the connection to home.
Yeah, part of a good curricular instruction, especially with health, because we're looking at global health once again, so impacting the student also means impacting the family. So the integral part of At My Best is that it recognizes the link between home and school and makes learning more meaningful, real, and enduring for students by connecting it to home. So some examples at the Activity Center on the website are like the Let's Move PDF downloads, which has like physical skill tasks to do as a family at home. So like balancing shapes and stretching. So simple, not complicated type activities that the students can bring home and do with their families or guardians and whatnot. Other ideas is like Let's Cook has a recipe suggestion. So bringing home recipes from this to actually share at home, cook with family, try them, and then actually students can report back at school what happened with the recipe piece. Also, other components with this is letter to parents in the appendices. And the letter to the parents is actually informing them what it is their students or their children are actually doing at school when it comes to the social, emotional, physical health, the ABCs of emotional ABCs. So it explains to the parents what they're going to be doing, and that they're going to be seeing things come home and whatnot. Also is links to home ideas in the lesson plan that we went through. Suggestions include encouraging students to teach families the ABC dance lyrics and actions, so that they can actually create the dance or recreate the dance at home, and have the students draw pictures themselves doing the ABC dance with the family. We actually had one of our schools, as an example here, had the students actually do YouTube videos of their family doing the dances, and they put them into the school for a little competition to see which family had the best version of the dance, or the most creative version of the dance. So those types of challenges build the autonomy for the students to take the learning home and actually have impact in the homes, which is what this resource actually has the potential to do. This connection to home and beyond the home, like into the community, aligns nicely with the Conference School Health approach, which I've been talking about probably most today as we've been listening. But building relationships with families are incredibly important to get to know the students and garnering their support, and recognizing that learning does not end at the school. And this gets expanded further in the 4 to 6 program that the webinar is happening later this week for.
Okay, perfect. So our next piece is giving you a bit of a tour of the At My Best website. It's quite straightforward in terms of its use. So I'm just going to be pulling it up for you. So this is what our homepage looks like. So this is, again, something that would be accessible to the general public. You're welcome to refer families to the website to check out the various sections. Up here, we've got a parent section, which speaks to those 3 pillars of the program: physical activity, healthy eating, healthy living, and emotional well-being. And it also gives you a bit more of an overview of what the K-3 program is all about and the 4-5-6 program is all about as well. I'll just get myself logged in and give you an idea of what you see when you're a teacher and where you can download the various resources. So you'll see these are all the lessons that are downloadable, and you'll also find the appendix items there. So if we went to that second lesson for kindergarten, you can do it. It's just over here. And you have access to the downloadable lesson plan. It will pop up in another window. So I just cut out certain components to highlight. And going back to the website, there is the appendix, which is right here, the one that looks like a little bit of a fence. You can see that we have the parent letter up on the screen to give them a sense of what the program is all about, and that can be personalized from you. And we also have the other appendix items that go with each of the learning experiences. So Appendix B was used in the You Can Do It learning experience we just talked about. And we also refer you to the particular video or music playlist that is used in that particular lesson. So all quite easy to download. Again, if you're looking for a full download of all the learning experiences in each of the grades, you can find that in Lesson 11. So if we went to all kindergarten lessons, just a quick and easy download, same location, and the appendix item. And this is the download of the At My Best task cards. So I'll just pull that one up. It'll take a minute or two to load. Sorry for the wait. All right, so here is our full download of all of the task cards. And you can see that there's the other components, the games, music, and videos, and I'll just quickly show you the curriculum links chart. And again, that shows you how each of the learning experiences align with the curriculum in each province. We'll get back to our presentation and talk a little bit more about At My Best Playdays. And let me just turn it over to Ross.
Yeah, the At My Best Playdays is probably my most favorite part of this whole program because it's a culmination of everything that the school has done during the year, or the classes have done. It reiterates the goals of what they have done through the ABCs and celebrate healthy living, and it's an opportunity to bring everybody together. So kickstart or celebrate participation in At My Best. So the emphasis is you need to celebrate the things that you do, because if you don't celebrate the things that you do, they're not reinforced. And that's my major philosophy and why the Playdays are really important. Reinforce connections between the three pillar programs. It does. It reinforces where everything has happened throughout the whole school year. Building connections with parents and communities, because at the play dates, the community is invited to come and be a part of it and be there. And it promotes the importance of quality health and physical education programs and the instruction that happens in the school, because the instruction that happens in those disciplines builds the foundations and competencies and confidence of the students and the children and even the adults to carry forward the lifestyle and the thought processes. So I've been a part of one. We had one here. It was a very small school of 50 some odd students in a K-2 environment. And the play date itself, the signature play date, it turned into a 250 person event. So it was really neat. So you have to register. Registration is open yearly. There's often incentives to sign up. It's free, and a draw for prizing, and you can stay tuned for that year to year. A chance to win a signature play date. I know PHE Canada selects 2 to 3 schools a year and co-facilitates the event, and that's the event that we had here in New Brunswick numerous years ago. We come to your school, they come to the school and they support implementation of the Healthy Living Initiative, which is really neat. The toolkit itself, activities, ideas for the play day. So it covers, like I said, all the 3 elements and the pillars, and it's a sample of really what you have done during the whole entire school year. And it sort of puts that on display for the community and families. The passport, which is a series of challenges for families to complete. You make a healthy recipe together, create your own game using equipment from the recycled material. There's a certificate which completed the play day, name, the school, the grade, the teacher, signature, etc. Goes on that kind of thing. So there's a documentation piece to it. And then the supporting documents that go, like a schedule, and there's volunteer letters and thank you letters and everything all prescripted within the kit, so that you don't have to recreate all these things and use them going forward. You can use the cut and paste version that's there.
Okay, so thanks, Ross. Moving on a little bit more about the signature playdays. It's an opportunity for up to 3 schools to partner with PHE Canada and co-facilitate a playday. We select schools on a rotating basis each spring, and playdays typically take place in May or June of each year. Those playday schools that we select to co-facilitate our signature playday receive a visit from At My Best mascot Ray the Star. They typically receive a nutritious snack and an exciting activity provided by Saputo, a $1,000 grant for initiatives that align with At My Best, and a $1,000 matching grant from one of our supporting partners, Saputo. So again, applications open in early spring, and we invite all schools that are interested to apply. It doesn't have to be a teacher. It could be a parent as well that wants to start this initiative. So feel free to stay up to date through our In Touch, our monthly newsletter. So the last few pieces of the webinar are just an opportunity for you to stay connected and involved with PHE Canada and the At My Best program, and highlighting a few of those opportunities just while we're closing things up. So we are just beginning an evaluation of the At My Best K-3 program. And this evaluation will involve 2 phases where we're asking for teachers that want to implement the program and offering their feedback through interviews and inviting student feedback as well. So it's an opportunity to have your say in what the new program will look like. So we're looking at what sort of quality is the program at, what sort of impact is it making, and what sort of opportunities can we find to enhance it and make it even better. And it's also an opportunity for you to be among the first to use the new content. So I put up my contact information just at the bottom of the screen if you're interested in that opportunity, and I can provide more information that way. We'll also be beginning an At My Best campaign championing comprehensive school health. So at this point, I would just encourage you to stay connected through social media, join the conversation, and share using the hashtag #AtMyBest, or for the French program, #AmonMeilleur, and this will be coming soon in 2018. And you can also stay informed and become a supporter, receive our monthly In Touch newsletter by using the URL at the bottom of the screen. So the last piece, like I'd mentioned, is just answering anything else that you'd like to know about the At My Best program. I also would like to mention that at the end of the webinar, you will receive an opportunity to share feedback on this webinar, and that's critical information for us so that we can keep providing quality learning experiences for you, find ways to make it more meaningful and perhaps more interactive as well. So I'd invite you to submit that feedback to help us continuing to provide these opportunities. So feel free to raise your hand if you have a question or put it in the chat box. I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that. Okay, we do have a question. Do you have any specific tips or suggestions on implementing the At My Best program to split grades? The majority of my classes are split grades. In terms of implementation, that's a great question. I would recommend relying on those extension pieces and looking for opportunities to modify the content. I can actually refer you to, and I can put it, either I can email it to you or I can put it up on the screen. We actually have a strategies to support inclusive physical activity participation, which I think would be really advantageous to take a look at, and it offers a lot of different suggestions on modifying to meet the needs of your group, and that can certainly apply to the K-3 program as well. Do you have any specific suggestions from you, Ross, or anyone else in the group is welcome to raise their hand if they have insight into that?
What we do in New Brunswick is when we have split, we often try to break up the curriculums into like an A and B type section. So we'll look through curricular outcomes and then select the ones that are more inclined for, say, a grade 2, and then some that would be more inclined for a grade 3. Some topics we find you have to specifically break up and teach within the class, but that can be more of independent learning, and that can be also more of stationed learning where you can have that kind of thing set up within your environment. At My Best is pretty good resource though that can be blended between the grade levels. There'd be terminology that's a lot of the time that you would need to sort of tweak in some instances with a K1 or something like that.
Perfect. I also have a question that if only one class in a school is doing the At My Best program, would it still make sense to have a school-wide play day? I'd say absolutely. It's an opportunity to start engaging your colleagues in this program. It is designed to to operate with some continuity in terms of the ABCs or in the 4-5-6 program in the I, We, Us. So an opportunity to engage people in what the program looks like, or maybe even engage parents and have them become advocates for you as well. They certainly don't have to be familiar with the program to support in the planning or the participating in the At My Best Play Day.
Well, I agree with Kendra on that, because collective efficacy at a school level for teachers is important, and having even one class celebrated with a whole school event tends to maybe bring other teachers online to be of the same mind process and thought process. So if you're a believer in collective efficacy, then yeah, it's actually an effective tool to change school culture.
And our last question is, how do I go about acquiring the activity cards that you mentioned earlier in the webinar? So that is a request that you can make when you register for the program. There's an option to request them in French or English, and you can request the K-3 task cards or the 4-5-6 task cards. If you didn't have a chance to do that when you registered, or you're not sure, I'm happy to look into that further, and I will just type my email address into the chat, and I will also put in Ross's, because both of us are more than willing to answer any sort of questions. Let me just do that right now. Feel free to take a look there. It is quite a popular program, so sometimes it does take us some time to get those task cards off to you as well. And in terms of the question that just came in related to the scarves and the beanbags and the blindfolds, like I mentioned, we've moved the entire program into this online format with the exception of those printed task cards. So unfortunately, we're not distributing those sorts of materials anymore like we were at the beginning, and that's just simply because it is quite resource intensive and it's allowed us to reach more schools. So I'm sorry, sorry for that, but that's where the program stands right now. All right, well, that concludes the At My Best K-3 webinar. Again, would really appreciate your feedback at the end of the webinar, and we'll hope to see you at the At My Best 4-5-6 webinar this Thursday at the same time. Thanks, everyone.